Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next cheap box break, brought to you by the Ignorant Intellectual on Media and Fun with Max. All right, so today what we're going to open is the 1993 box of O-Pee-Chee Premier Baseball cards. All right, so basically this was, if you remember the 90s, if you're old enough to remember the 90s anyways, that's when baseball cards expanded. You used to have a set here or a set there. You know, Topps would put out a set, Don Ross would put out a set, Fleer would put out a set, others would put out a set. But mostly it was just base cards. Maybe you'd have an extra, insert set or whatever here or there. But then it started booming, right? And with Upper Deck coming in 1989, the other companies upped their game as well, started making cards that were really nice. Well, O-Pee-Chee, which is basically the Canadian version of Topps, also got into that and started making they made their regular baseball sets, which were called the O-Pee-Chee sets. All right, and then they made their premium set, which is O-Pee-Chee Premier. So the regular O-Pee-Chee sets would mostly match the top set of the same year. Sometimes it would match it exactly. Other times it would be a smaller set. So maybe Topps would have 792 cards, and O-Pee-Chee may have 660 or something like that. But most of the time they match. They match the players and the numbering, right? So the thing with O-Pee-Chee is that they concentrate more on the two Canadian teams at this time. So at this time, the Washington Nationals didn't exist, right? They were still the Montreal Expos. So you had the Expos and the Blue Jays. And so what O-Pee-Chee Premier does is give you a better card, a premium card, but its base set is only 132 cards. So what they did was mostly put out, much of it is basically Toronto Blue Jays players and Montreal Expos players, and then stars from other teams and things like that, right? So so the big rookie in '93 that everybody wanted to get was the Derek Jeter rookie, right? So there is no Derek Jeter rookie in this set. In fact, there's 11 rookies in this set, and all of them are mostly related to Montreal or Toronto, and all of them never went anywhere. There was one, which was Shannon Stewart, that played for the Blue Jays for a few years out in center field and left field, and he was a good player. He was with them when they made their runs in the 2000s. In the 2000s, when they made their runs, he was he on the team? I think he was on the team. Anyways, my memory might be lacking, but anyway, so there's only 132 cards. Now, there are insert sets. There's 3 insert sets in this. There's the rookies, which were 4 cards, which came in one every 36 packs. And these 4 rookies were basically the 1992 first and second round draft picks of the Montreal Expos and the Toronto Blue Jays. And then there was 11 rookies in the main set, which again is 132 cards, and you have 2 other sets. One was the Star Performer set, which is a 22 card set. Basically, mostly all of those guys are Hall of Famers now, but it was the Star Performer 22 cards. One of the great players of the league that performed well in '93, and then you have a foil version of that. So the Star Performers came 1 in every pack, so you get 1 Star Performer insert in each pack that you got. And then the foil version of that pack came in 1 in every 36 cards, so 1 each box. So each box has 36 packs of 9. I think it's 9 or 10 cards each. Series contains 132 regular cards plus 3 insert sets featuring 22 Star Performers, 22 foil Star Performers, and rookie draft picks. All right, but it doesn't tell me what the count of is in each. I think it's like 10 cards or 9 cards. I'll count once we open a box. So basically, I think there's 10. So that would be 360 cards in a box. So realistically, we should be able to open 1 box and complete the whole set. But I bought a second box just in case. You know how baseball card companies are. This is like 360 cards. There's only 132 in the set, you should be able to finish the set with one box. But depending on how they collate them, let's see how much they want to rip off their customer. All right, we'll open it up. So basically, we're going to get 36 star performers, and we're going to get maybe a rookie, maybe a foil star performer in there somewhere, and then so still over 300 base cards. So of the 300, only 132 of them. So we should be able to. If we don't, it'll be quite disappointing. So you want to do the honors and open the packages? Open the pack? Or should I? Should I or should you?
I should.
Sit. How about I get it started and you can rip it off? Okay.
But those holes right there.
Yeah, it's the earring. There we go. Okay, go for it. Take it. So what they did was a security feature, which if you can see the O-Pee-Chee. Just once you open it, just put it down. Okay. So what they did was they covered the plastic with O-Pee-Chee, so that way you know in the future if there's boxes of O-Pee-Chee still around or O-Pee-Chee Premier, if the plastic wrap around it doesn't have O-Pee-Chee on it, doesn't have that O-Pee-Chee logo on it, it means that it's been opened and then rewrapped, right? So that's a way of stopping people from, let's say, buying a box, opening it up, looking through a bunch of the cards for the special cards or whatever, and then like taking, some packs from other packs and then resealing it, making it seem like it's new or whatever, right? So, all right, so that's what the front looks like. All right.
The same
the
thing
back
as the
is,
first one.
The back is just like that. The side looks like this.
It's
And the other
same
side
thing
looks
as
like
the
this.
first.
So this is basically a retail box, I'm assuming, or a hobby box. All right. Let's see if we can open it up without ripping it.
I think it's the other way.
No, it's right here. Just got to get across that. But problem is, if you're not okay, just let Daddy try. Okay? There we go. All right. So what happens usually is.
It's the same thing as the first one.
So it's a retail box, so you just put it like this, and this kind of bends, comes out. It's for display, right? So then you fold it over, like that, or is it like, I think it's like, this goes through like that. Then you just fold that down there like this. Then you display it for your customer. So let's put that like that so I can take a picture of it for the video. All right. So move your hands out of the way. That'll be
These cards are shiny.
That'll be Go look to see if this is in the center of the video screen. Is this in the center?
Of course it is. I checked beef. Almost.
Can you see the whole box?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. So this is how they display it in the store. Now, unfortunately, 1993 was not a great year for rookies, and this concentrates mostly on the Canadian teams. So you're not going to get a lot of. Well, the rookies are Rene Arocha, David Hulse, Ken Ryan, Sherman Obando, John Cummings, Graham Lloyd, Mike Lansing, Tim Bogard, Daryl Sherman, Tim Laker, and Greg McMichael. Have you heard about any of those? None of them. Tim Laker was a catcher a bit for the Expos, and a few others were around. You could see David Hulse played a little bit, but most of them, didn't make a huge name for themselves, right? So, all right. So let's take the packs out.
Look. Daddy, let's just keep them in and put one out.
Why? So we can get rid of this box so it's not blocking the video.
Why can't I put it in front?
Alright, so let's count. see if there's really 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Why can't he put it in
1,
front?
2, 3,
I can
4,
see
5,
now.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Daddy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This one probably has 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So 36 packs, 8 cards. 8 plus 1 insert card. So 9 cards, like I said. 8 baseball cards plus 1 insert card.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Why can't you just put the cardboard box at the front so
At the front where?
at the front of the video?
Then it'll block us showing us opening the cards.
But it's tall enough so it don't block your face.
But they want to see the cards, right?
Okay.
Alright, so let's see what we got here. Alright, so there's the star performer card, Kenny Lofton. He was a great leadoff man for the Cleveland Indians. There was like a 5-year period where he was like, you know, stealing multiple bases, hitting for a high average, getting on base a lot. Alright. Tim Pugh, nobody. Milt Thompson, nobody. Jimmy Key, who was a Blue Jay for the longest time, one of the better left-handers during the 90s. On this one, it shows him with the Yankees. Jeff Conine, Will Cordero, pretty good shortstop. Chad Curtis, pretty good center fielder. Okay, Mike Piazza. So this guy's one of the good ones on this this set. Is a great hitting catcher. Defense, a bit suspect, but he's in the Hall. So
Those some green cards.
Brian Harvey,
Those some green cards.
Ken Ryan, Scott Sanderson, Jim Abbott. So he was the guy that had no hand. So he would pitch with his left hand and then quickly put his glove on his left hand when he's fielding after he pitches. He was pretty good. I mean, it was very good for a couple of years, but then he kind of slowed down. So Harold Baines, I think he made the Hall, didn't he? Don't think he should be in the Hall, but that's just my opinion. If he made it, anyways. David Cohn, another great pitcher for the Blue Jays, and who else was the New York Mets and others. Kansas City is on here. Cecil Fielder.
I've literally found 2 duplicates right
Yeah, you were going to get a lot of those, I think. Cecil Fielder, 50 home run year. Mike Hampton, Scott Sanderson again. All right, Ryan Sandberg, the Hall of Fame second baseman for the Cubs. Starter performer. Jeff Conine again. Jimmy Key again. Ivan Calderon for the Red Sox here. He played for the Expos for a few years. Andy Van Slyke, Pirate. He was a very, very, very good defensive center fielder with a really good arm.
Alright, I'm here. What do you do?
Barry Bonds, Mr. Royds himself.
What?
I'm just talking to the camera. Mike Lansing. Oh, John Crook. John Crook. He was a fan favorite, little chubby guy that could hit for an average. Jim Abbott. Another. All right, Joe Carter. One of the most celebrated Toronto Blue Jays with that home run that brought them the 93 World Series, or contributed to it anyways. Star performer, Delano Shields. He was really, really sought after as an outfielder and a second baseman, but his defense and his hitting didn't live up to what everybody thought he would be. Rico Rossi, Dave Stieb on the White Sox. So you're seeing a pattern, right? You're seeing Expos and Blue Jays and Expos on other teams. Dave Stieb was probably, well, it's up there. There's like a few pitchers that pitched for the Blue Jays, but Dave Stieb was one of the greats of the Blue Jays.
White Sox. I found
Charlie
one of the
Hayes
White
was an
Sox.
outfield third baseman. Dan
I found
Walters.
one of the White Sox.
Cool.
It's
Darren
starting out
Dalton.
pretty good.
For a few years for the Phillies when they were good. He was good, but injuries hurt him. Another Delano to Shield. And Dennis Eckersley, one of the greatest relievers of all time. Started off as a starter. He was good at the beginning as a starter, but then he kind of suffered a bit because he only had like 2 pitches. He needed a lot more pitches as baseball went along, so he went into the bullpen and became one of the premier relievers, closers of all time, and ended up making the Hall because of it.
Look
A
at
star performer.
Can you just take one?
Go ahead. Jim Abbott again. Delano Shields again. Rico Rossi again. Dave Stewart. His name was made in Oakland, where he was their #1 starter in Oakland for many years, and then he ended up going up north to play for the Blue Jays. Tim Salmon, very good right fielder, could hit for average and power, had some speed as well. His arm was pretty good as well, so he was basically a 5-tool player, but not really up. Lenny Rocha, Charlie Leibrandt was okay, Candy Maldonado. Alright, here we go. Kirby Puckett. Minnesota's greatest player, probably. Maybe. Center fielder, one of the best center fielders ever to play. Hit for really good average, hit for extra bases, not a lot of home runs. And was quite quick in the outfield, and his arm was second to none in center field. Al Martin never went anywhere. Tom Brunansky, he was pretty good, right fielder. Greg Maddux, Hall of Famer for Atlanta and for the Chicago Cubs. He, for at least a decade, he was one of the top pitchers in baseball. John Olerud. He had a couple of years where he hit for like a really high average, and he could, medium power, played first base, was a good defensive first baseman, and hit for average. Didn't make the Hall though. Benito Santiago, one of the best defensive catchers during the 90s. He could hit a bit as well. One year he hit 18 home runs. Not too bad for a catcher. Andres Galarraga played for the Expos for a while. He's a good all-around first baseman. Was great on defense. Could hit for average and power. Right. Eric Young was okay. Carlos Garcia was okay. All right, Nolan Ryan, star performer. All right, so he's in the Hall. People just go crazy over this guy because of the strikeouts, right? He, superseded everybody in strikeouts by a large margin by the end of his career because he lasted so long. I mean, he was very, very fit and he was very good. Usually, the thing that made him the exception was you had strikeout pitchers, but strikeout pitchers would hit their mid-30s and then they would lose velocity on their fastball, and then they would end up changing, right? Some of them would become knuckleballers, some of them would start using a lot more junk when they were pitching, or they just stopped playing, right? Well, Nolan Ryan kept the speed of his fastball all the way into his 40s and played into his 40s. So he played for so many years. Now he was big in Texas because he played for Houston, but he started out his career in California for the Angels. But the thing about him is, and the thing that I consider what makes it a player great, isn't his stats. I don't care how many stolen bases Ricky Henderson stole. If it didn't contribute to his team winning, well, what's the point? Who cares, right? Well, Nolan Ryan is a pitcher that is basically a 500 pitcher, right? And basically for every strikeout he threw, he like every 3 strikeouts he would walk 2 players, right? And those walks are what killed him. He would have a higher ERA than he should with that amount of strikeouts, and he would lose games. Now he was in Houston, right? He was in California, but at California he was a 500 pitcher. In Houston he was a 500 pitcher. Basically, wherever he went, he was a 500 pitcher. So if you were to create a team and you were put Nolan Ryan as your #1 starter, your team would never make the playoffs. Your team would never, make anything of itself. California never went anywhere. Houston never went anywhere. Texas never went anywhere with Ryan on their team. And the reason why that is because he was basically a one-trick pony. He struck people out, but he didn't win games, right? When he won 20, he would lose 18, right? Do you understand? So he wasn't an under 500 pitcher. He was above 500 pitcher, and everybody explains, well, the reason why he was only a 500 pitcher wasn't because of him. It was because of his team. Well, then how do you explain his pitching teammates, especially
Daddy.
what was his name? I can't remember.
Daddy.
What, JR? Yeah, you got them all? Cool. All right, JR. What was his name? I can't remember, but he was like a star pitcher for the Houston Astros during the time that I'll put his name up here because it's an important name. He would have an ERA under 3, and he would win like twice as many games as he would lose with the exact same team. And Ryan was the person that was striking out. A person doesn't need their defense if every third person they face, they strike out, right? They don't need their defense as much, right? Because they're striking people out. So less reliant on the defense, less errors made by the defense, so on and so forth, right? So then why didn't he win? Why didn't he win like 20 games every year? I mean, he was a iron horse type of pitcher. I mean, he could throw over 100 pitches, 150 pitches, especially when he was younger. So why didn't he win more games than he lost? Because he walked too many players, all right? If he could have struck out, let's say 75% and walked 25%, so for every 4 strikeouts he would walk a guy, he may have improved his winning percentage. But the reason why he wasn't a great winning pitcher isn't because of the teams he played on, it's because he just walked too many, all right? So, and that made him basically a 500 pitcher. But because he struck out over 5,000, the next closest guy was like less than 4,000 at the time. And it was a wow factor, especially for a 40-year-old striking out major league players. It's an exceptional thing to do, right? And he should be in the Hall for that, I guess, just like Ricky Henderson should be in the Hall for the amount of stolen bases he did. But did it contribute to their team's winning? With Ryan, the strikeouts didn't contribute anything. Strikeouts, you could have a pitcher that struck out 100 in a year and another pitcher that struck out 350. How good of a pitcher was he, right? Ryan was a 500 pitcher. So, but I bet you I'll get a lot of blowback on that because everybody loves this guy, right? So, all right, so we got Dave Stieb, we got Butch Henry, Billy Ripken, Cal Ripken's brother. He was a very good defensive second baseman, and for a few years he played with Baltimore with his brother, and that combination was really good up the middle for the Orioles. Right? Chris Bosio, he was pretty good for a few years. Greg Gagne, pretty good shortstop. Trevor Hoffman, one of the great relief pitchers, closers of all time, up there with Dennis Eckersley and others. Kevin Reimer, Barry Larkin, one of the great shortstops of the 90s. Playing for Cincinnati, very good. Kind of reminded you a bit of Ozzie Smith with his defense, but he could actually hit as well, right? He could hit for average. I mean, if you could have Larkin and Alomar on the same team, man, that would be, you'd have your 1-2 guys in the middle of your infield set. I mean, those two could have brought you a pennant at least, right? All right, so we got Juan Gonzalez, one of the power hitters of the 90s for the Rangers as a star performer. Larry Walker, Hall of Famer, one of the great right fielders. He played in Colorado and played for the Expos, so his stats are a bit inflated, you would say, because of Colorado. Denver has like very thin air, so it's easier to hit, right? So, but some of the batting averages that he put out, usually, you'll have a player that hits for average will not hit for a large amount of power, right? Guys like, I'm not talking about like 300 hitters or 290 hitters. I'm talking about like 350 hitters, 360 hitters, 340 hitters, right? So guys like Tony Gwynn, guys like Wade Boggs, guys like Rod Carew, these guys hit for a high average, but the reason why they hit for a high average is because they made contact with the ball and they spread it out, and a lot of them were singles, right? So when you have power and you want to hit for power, it's very hard to hit for a high average and hit for power. And the people that can do it are really exceptional, all right? And they really contribute to their team winning, all right? So this guy hit 360, would hit like 25, 30 home runs a year. He was extremely good player for a short period of time. He didn't last long, but he did last long enough to get him to the Hall. All right, Candy Maldonado, average player, same as Carlo, Mike Christopher, Scott Fletcher. So, anyways, this is what the card looks like. It's really nice. It's got, you know, that gleam on it. It has a picture on the front, has a picture on the back. All this stuff is standard now with baseball cards, but if you go back, you know, to the 80s and the 70s, and you'll see an average-looking picture on front. Sometimes it's blurred or whatever, and on the back you just see stats or you know, like trivia or whatever. You wouldn't see an image, and there would only be gloss on the front. There wouldn't be gloss on the back. So a really nice card with gloss on the front and the back. Nice picture on the back. But some people did complain about the pictures on the back because, you know, it means that, look at the stats. A lot of people bought the baseball cards to look at the stats of the player, like his historical career stats, right? And so many baseball card companies started putting pictures on the back, which took away the space to put to put career stats. Topps was always good with that. They would make the print so small just to get all the career stats of the player on the back of the card, and the fans really appreciated that. It's one of the things, the reason why Topps was popular, right? But now everything's all image, right? So you don't get hardly any stats on the back of a lot of the baseball cards now. Walt Weiss, he was a pretty good defensive shortstop. So this is probably maybe 4 or 5 packs and already getting doubles. So it might be a good sign, meaning that we're going to get the whole set. All right, Eric Young was okay. Kevin Reimer was okay. Doug Drabeck, he was one of Pittsburgh's best pitchers during the 90s and 80s. I don't know if he ever made the Hall, though. Billy Brewer was okay. Dave Martinez was okay. Will Cordero was okay. Vinny Castilla, he was a good defensive third baseman and could hit for some power. He was out there in Colorado popping 30 home runs. Harold Reynolds, he was a very good second baseman for Seattle at one time. I mean, Gold Glove caliber second baseman. Another Ryan Sandberg, star performer. Paul O'Neill, pretty good all-around player. Dickie Thon was a pretty good shortstop. Ray Lankford was a pretty good outfielder. Vaughn Calderon was okay. Harold Baines, again. David Cohn again. Norm Charlton, one of the better left-handed relief pitchers and save artists of the 90s, with Cincinnati at the time. Here he's with the Mariners. Greg Gore, don't even remember that guy. Joe Carter again, star performer. Mark Gardner, Greg McMichael, Dave Magadan, Jeff Conine, Jimmy Key again, Vaughn Calderon again, Kevin Young, Brian Harvey, Dennis Eckersley again as a star performer. If we keep getting doubles, this is the thing that I dislike is there's 22 of these star performers, right? But I already got 2 Dennis Eckersley, 2 Joe Carters, 2 Ryan Sandbergs, right? And I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in 10 packs, I already got doubles, right? Michael Moore was okay. Al Martin was okay. Brunansky, Cecil Fielder, probably a double already. Charlie Hayes, Dan Walters, Tim Wallach, one of the Expos' best third basemen. His batting average wasn't super high all the time. It was always under 300, but he hit like 20, 25 home runs a year and played a wicked third base. He was extremely good defensively at third. Mike Piazza again. All right, Ken Griffey Jr., one of the greatest Seattle Mariners of all time, and then moved to Cincinnati. Easy Hall of Famer, obviously, 5-tool player. Don Mattingly, the guy that could have made the Hall of Fame if he didn't hurt his back. He was considered, great defense, hit for a high average, all right, and hit for power, which is, but he didn't hit 40 home runs a year. He would hit like 25, 30 home runs a year. So he did sacrifice a bit of the power in order to get the average, but defensively, there was nobody better at first base. Andres Galarraga was really good, and there's a few others that were really good, but he was extremely good in the 80s. Fernando Valenzuela, he had that rookie year, won Rookie of the Year. He was like this short, pudgy guy that could pitch, and it was amazing to watch him. Right? So, Mike Hampton, Harold Baines again, David Cohn, Cecil Fielder, Dick Schofield was a very, very good defensive shortstop. I put him on my team any day of the week, just for shortstop. Chad Curtis. All right, Roger Clemens, Mr. Steroid himself again. I don't think he took steroids, or this is my guess, all right? Nobody knows. Did he admit that he took steroids? I'm not sure. But anyways, he went up to the Toronto Blue Jays and played a few years for the Blue Jays. During the years that they won the World Series back-to-back. I think he was amongst those teams, or did he come after? Anyways, his name was made in Boston, anyways. And he was extremely good. He was 24-4 one year in Boston, but he had a very good career for, let's say, a decade, and then he started dipping for a couple of years, and then you saw him return to how he was pitching in his 20s, and you go, So he has a peak performance, and then he starts, he's getting older, so his performance starts going down, and then for some reason, bang, it goes up just as good as it was when he was, at the peak of his career, right? So, yeah, it's got to be steroids, right? I don't think he's in the Hall because of it. Right? So Greg Maddux, he is in the Hall. Maddux is one of the great pitchers of the 90s. Larry Walker again. Kenny again, Ryan Thompson, Jody Reed, average catcher, David Nied, Dan Wilson, Paul O'Neill again. All right, Edgar Martinez, one of the greatest hitters that couldn't play first base. He started off at third base, but he was just bad. Put him at first base, he was bad there too, so finally they just hit him, and he became one of the greatest designated hitters of all time. Hit for a high average, hit for some power, but again, he's not a high 30 or 40 home run hitter because he hits for average, but he would hit 20 and hit 340, that kind of thing. So John Kruk again, Darren Dalton again, Tim Pugh again, Charlie Hayes, Spike Owen, John Cummings, Matt Knorr, Dickie Thon, Barry Bonds. Don't get me started on that guy. Doug Drabeck again, Mike Gardner, Greg McMichael, Dave Steve again. Butch Henry looks like we're going through Paul Molitor. When he played for the Blue Jays, he was the DH for them when they won in '93, if I remember correctly. He was a great hitter, hit 350. Couldn't play third base worth a crap. He was okay at it, but not very good. So as he got older, they just put him in a DH role. He's in the Hall because he's such a good hitter. Mike Gardner. All right, Kirby Puckett again, star performer. All right, so we're getting through doubles. Nolan Ryan again, star performer. We're just going to go through these. All right, here's one that we haven't seen yet. Jose Canseco, another steroid man. Had that 40-40 year when he was on steroids, hit 40 home runs, stole 40 bases. Juan Gonzalez again. Just go through one. Oh, JT Snow. He was considered. Everybody thought he would be one of the great first basemen, but didn't happen. He was okay, but Mark McGuire, another steroid dude, hit. He obliterated the rookie home run record. I think it was like 30 at 130, and then he came along and hit 49. So. Oh, Roberto Alomar, one of the great second basemen. Probably my all-time favorite second baseman. When I watched him play for the Blue Jays, he could hit for average, he could steal bases, he could bunt, he could run. His defense at second base was second to none. do everything. He was basically a 5-tool player, but take away, 30 or 40 home runs. He might hit like 10 or 15, right? Maybe 8 sometimes. In 92, he hit .310 with 8 home runs. So, all right. So, like I said, we're just getting doubles now, it looks like. Phil Plantier, he was supposed to be really good, but he never made it out of the major leagues for very long. Frank Thomas, one of the greatest hitters of all time, one of the greatest first basemen, but couldn't play defense at first base very well. He would have been perfect as a DH, but they kept him at first base because he's a huge target, right? He was okay at first, but he wasn't great. But man, this guy could hit. He could hit for average, and he could hit for power. It was extremely good. We get a high on base percentage as well because people are walking. Tony Fernandez, one of the greatest defensive shortstops of all time, that could hit for average, 280s, 290s, sometimes over 300, but didn't walk a lick and could steal a few bases. But basically, what you got from him was singles and doubles and really great defense at shortstop, especially for the Blue Jays. Hartley. All right, so here's the card number 132. That's the checklist. This Pete Incaviglia. Will Clark. Did he ever make the Hall? I don't think he made the Hall, but those years when he played in San Francisco, really great defensive first baseman, could hit for average and for power. Extremely good player for a short period of time anyways. Tom Glavine, one of the great left-handers of all time. Him and Maddox and who was the other guy? The 3 pitchers in Atlanta. They would win every year, the American League East, and then they had bomb in the playoffs for some reason. But their pitching took them to the playoffs almost every year there in the 90s, right? 80s and 90s. Ellis Burks, he was very good for Boston out there in center field. Not a Hall of Famer though. Benji Gill was thought to be a great shortstop, but never happened. Lee Brandt, Mike Christopher, Scott Fletcher, Walt Weiss, Tim Bogard, Darren Dalton again. Eric Karros. He did very good as a rookie, and then everybody thought that all the hype around him was going to be, but he became an average player. So that star performer is a bit of a disappointment. Todd Worrell. All right, we're almost through. Where'd you go, Max Oliver? Juan Guzman. Man, this guy had a fastball that jumped, right? And, when he was young, people had a lot of potential for him, but he didn't live up to all of it. He did have a few good years, but why are you putting that on my head?
I put that on your head again.
Yeah, just kidding. Willie Wilson, he had a couple of good years. Greg Maddux, like I said, one of the great pitchers of the 90s, him and Tom Glavine. Piazza, Paul O'Neill, just kidding. Gary Sheffield. This guy came up as a shortstop, and this guy was built, all right? And this guy could hit for power and hit for average, but I think he had a mental issue when he first ended up going up into the majors, because his defense at short was way less than par. So they took him out of shortstop, and then where are they going to put him? But they wanted to put him because he could, he's like, take away the defense, he has everything else, right? He could hit for average, he could hit for power, he could run quickly, all of that, right? So in this year he hit 330 with 33 home runs, right? So very, very good player, but just couldn't play defense, so they didn't know what to do with him. And he stumbled when he was young because he came up really young, right? And he stumbled in the majors in the first few years, and then he got it together, right? But still couldn't play any defense. Cal Ripken. All right, there's one we didn't see yet. One of the great shortstops of all time. Probably a third baseman playing shortstop. So he did later in his career move over to third. But, he anchored all those Baltimore teams in the 80s. sometimes with his brother over at second. And he had some good years, some not so good years, but you know, he was best known being one of the Ironmen who broke Lou Gehrig's record of, you know, the number of games played without missing a game, consecutive games. I think he played for like 10 years without missing a game. Anyways, I'll put it up on the screen maybe. But some years, I mean, what did he do this year? So he hit 251 with 14 home runs, 72 RBIs, right? But there was one year there where he hit 325 with like 25 home runs and 120 RBIs. Can't remember. Anyways, a very good shortstop, one of the greats. And in the Hall, obviously. All right, John Smiley, Ellis Burks again, Greg Maddux again. So you really, if this doesn't complete the whole set, because I'm seeing guys like 4 or 5 times already. Pat Listash, star performer, 290, 168 hits, 1 home run, 47 RBIs. I'm not sure why he's there. He was an okay player. Dickie Thon, Ray, McMorrow, Buccini, Billy Ripken, Canseco, just the same guys over and over again. Fred McGriff, when he was with the Blue Jays, he consistently would hit around 280, 290, and hit 35 home runs every year. It was like every year you could count on 35, 36 home runs from this guy. Doug Drabek, Greg Swindell, Mark McGuire again. All right, we're getting to the end. All right, so Harold Reynolds, very good second baseman. I already seen him. Looks like these are all doubles now. All right, so here's what the first round draft pick rookies look like. All right, here's the one for the Blue Jays, Shannon Stewart, the only player out of those 4 players that you got that was any good. All right. Roberto Alomar, star performer again. Barry Larkin. Will Clark, star performer. I wonder if I'm going to get a foil one. Maybe not. Here's one we haven't seen yet. Wade Boggs for the Yankees. He was, you know, the third baseman for such a long time in Boston. And later in his career, when he was getting older, New York picked him up, as they do with so many great players, right? They play their main years for another team, and then when they get a bit older, they all go to the Yankees for some reason. Anyway, so he had some years where he was hitting like 360, 350. This year he hit 259, which is quite disappointing. Tom Glavine, star performer. So it doesn't look like I'm going to get any.
Dad,
Yeah.
can I pause the video?
What?
Can I pause the video because I need to do a number 2.
Oh, I'm almost done. Eric Karros. So it doesn't look like I got a.
That was stomach ache.
Okay. Kenny Lofton. Doesn't look like I got any of the foil star performers. All right. So that's it. We'll come back in part 2 and collate it all and see what we got and see how good of a collation they got. All right. And I will talk to you then and say goodbye next.
Goodbye.
Bye for now. Hello everyone and welcome back. My son is absent. Oh, he's coming. So part 2 of the 1993 O-Pee-Chee Premier Baseball cards. Okay, so we've sorted everything. I wrote everything down so I wouldn't forget. All right, okay, so I ended the last video and then I went through to sort everything and I found the Deion Sanders star performer that wasn't, that I didn't show you. All right, so that's number 16. Number 10, sorry. All right. right, so that's number 10. All right. And I also found this one, which is number 14, Star Performers, but the foil. So it was a Barry Bonds. I got the Barry Bonds foil. So you do get one per box of the foil Star Performers. So you get, so to show the difference, all right. So here's the regular Star Performer of Barry Bonds, number 14. And here's the foil version of it. This you get one per pack. This one you get one per box. All right. And then if you turn it over, so this has a gold border and then a green border on the back. This one has no border. It's flush, and it has a gold border on the back. All right. So that's how you tell the difference between the two. All right. And I did get one rookie. Draft pick, Shannon Stewart. All right, this guy made an impact. All right, the other three didn't really. So it's number 2 of the 4. So number 2. So I got one of those. So it's one per box as well. You get one of these. All right, and so the Star Performers themselves. Let's put Barry Bonds back in there. Number 14. Right, so because the foil and the rookie will be one of the inserts, so you have 8 cards per pack plus 1 insert, so you have 34 Star Performers. All right, and of those 34, there's 22 that there are in total. So you're going to get some doubles, right? So did I get every one of the 22 Star Performers in a single box? I did. All right. I got doubles. I got 12 doubles, but I didn't get any triples, just doubles. And I have all from 1 to 22. So number 1 is Frank Thomas. Number 2 is Fred McGriff. Number 3 is Roberto Alomar. Number 4 is Ryan Sandberg. Number 5 is Edgar Martinez. Number 6 is Gary Sheffield. Number 7 is Juan Gonzalez. Number 8 is Eric Keros. He seems kind of out of place in all these. Number 9 is Ken Griffey Jr. Number 10 is Deion Sanders. Number 11 is Kirby Puckett. Number 12 is Will Clark. 13 is Joe Carter. 14 is Barry Bonds. 15 is Pat Listash, another guy that kind of seems out of place here, but he was performing very well in the 90s. 16 is Mark McGwire. 17 is Kenny Lofton. 18 is Roger Clemens. 19 is Greg Maddux. 20 is Nolan Ryan. 21 is Tom Glavine. And 22 is Dennis Eckersley. All right. So, in one box, I did anyways, I got the whole set in one box. So you should get pretty close to the whole set if you buy a box of O-Pee-Chee Premier 1993. And you'll get one of the draft picks and one of the gold foils. Now there's 22 gold foils, so you can imagine if you wanted to collect all the gold foils, you would have to buy at minimum 22 boxes, but probably more like 30 something boxes you'd have to get, maybe even 40 boxes you'd have to buy to get all the foil, Star Performers foils, right? So this came in, how did this came? This come in 36 packs, 9 cards per pack, 24 boxes per case. So you get a case or a big box, inside will be 24 of them. You'd probably have to buy 2 cases in order to get all the foils, all the 22 foil cards, right? So probably when people are chasing cards or looking back and wanting to collect cards, they'll probably go for the foil ones since they're the least rare. Now, this didn't suffer from that overproduction thing, even though I found 2 boxes unopened from a guy. So what he probably did was back in the 90s, he, got into baseball cards because he wanted to, have investments or whatever, use them as investments, right? But the problem is all the cards from the 90s, even if they're a short run, are tarred and feathered with the overproduction label, right? So only 4,000 boxes of this was put out. So, but 4,000 was enough to saturate the market anyways, because 4,000, not boxes, 4,000 cases. So you can imagine 4,000 cases times 24 is 80,000 cases of this. So you can imagine. So it since it's only distributed in Canada, it's not distributed in the United States, although people would come up and buy these, the O-Pee-Chee, especially the hockey versions of the O-Pee-Chee, because they seem to be more wanted than their Topps counterparts, right? So because there's less of them, right? And so they did come up and they did export them to the United States or bring them across the border or whatever, right, to sell to people in the United States. But so you're going to have to buy, well, not that they actually exist anymore, but if you were at the time, if you wanted to, complete the star, you would have to, start looking, because there's no internet at the time, right? Start looking around with friends or through a mail order, Beckett magazine, other things like that, to see if there's any people that are selling them, right? Right now it's easy. I'd just go on eBay or other sites, and I could probably find all the star performers and pay a couple dollars for each one of them, right? So if I wanted to have a master set, see, this is the perfect example of a good master set that's somewhat difficult to complete, but reasonably you could do it, right? So there's no one-on-ones in here. There's no like only three patch cards in existence for this set of baseball cards and everything, and all that kind of stuff. So you could complete this whole set, pretty easily compared to, some of the other sets, right? During this time, especially the ones with the chase cards that in order for you to get, you have to first find them, and second, you have to pay hundreds of dollars for them now. So, all right, so that's, now let's go to the base set. So I got 36 non-base set cards. All the rest are base sets. So there's 8 cards per pack, and there's 36 packages, right? So altogether, there's 324 cards altogether, right? And if you minus 36, 324 minus 36 is 288. So there's 288 of the main, and there's only 132 that you need to collect. So do you get a complete set when you buy a box of O-Pee-Chee Premier 93 baseball? Do you get a whole set, all 132 cards? You do not get all 132 cards, even though you have 288 base cards in the box. All right, that's more than double the amount of cards that the base set is made out of. So that is pretty unimpressive, if you ask me. All right, so basically I'm missing what? All right, so to say again, you get 288 base cards in a box, and there's only 132 cards that you need to get to have the complete set. Do you get the full complete set in the one box? You do not. So if you guess that you did not, you are correct. So they screw, well, they didn't screw up, they do it on purpose. So you're gonna have to buy a second box in order to fill the 132. I am missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 cards. So I have 112 and I'm missing 20 of the base set. So I got you know, like almost 90%, 85 to 90% of the base set, but I didn't get all of it. You should be able to get all of it in one box since it's 288 cards and only 132, right? You know what I mean? It's like 150 doubles or whatever. In fact, I counted it. I don't have 20 cards, but I have 4 cards that I have 5 of. 34 cards I have 4 of. 22 cards that I have 3 of. And 15 cards that I have 2 of. Right? So yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, right? You should be able to fill the whole box with one box. I mean, fill the whole 132 cards with one box, the whole set for one box. But like I said, I'm missing 20 cards. So of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them are in the 132 range, from above 100 to 132. So I'm not sure if the 101 to 131 are short printed or not, but they seem to be less in them, right? So, because I have, from 1 to 100, I have 114 cards, all right? So I have 64 more than the number of cards that I need there. From 51 to 100, I have 116. So I have 66 more cards in here. So I have more doubles than I do single cards in here, and I'm still missing from 1 to, I'm missing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm missing 7 from this section, 7 cards. From 100 to 132, I have 59. So I have 27 more cards than I need, right? So this seems to be a little bit less. The 101 to 132 seems to be, there's less cards in the packs than there are the 1 to 100 cards, right? So, all right, so that's basically it. I still have a second box, but I'm not gonna open it and do a video with it. Since I've done this one, we know what we're getting. So if you do buy a box of this, don't be surprised if you're missing like 20 cards from the 132, even though you get like close to 300 base cards in the box, and you're still going to be missing some, right? So they do not want you to only buy one box. They want you to buy 2 or 3 boxes, right? So anyways, okay, so that's it. The cards themselves are extremely nice, as you notice, right? They're very beautiful cards. They're all, you know, they got that plastic sheen coating over them. And, you know, this card is 93 to 2023 is 30 years, so it's more than 30 years old. This box of baseball cards is more than 30 years old, and it comes out pretty much new, right? So they do last, unlike the older ones that end up, you know, have the gum in them. They have the gum stains on them and everything else, right? And so they put them in cellophane packs, not wax packs anymore, because the wax would melt and get stuck to the cards. So, all right, so you have a great day. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Think about subscribing, and I will talk to you in my next video with my son Max. And you have a great day, and bye for now.
Bye.